Happy birthday.
Oh no.
Oh, fucking Christ. Jesus Christ.
There we go. Happy birthday, y'all. All right.
12 years.
I made it 12 years in this thing.
Barely made it.
We made it 12 years. Thanks to you.
Oh.
Well, we're celebrating 12 years. It's not just like a decade. It's 2 years.
It's 2 years more.
2 years more than a decade. The Romans, they didn't even make a word for that. You know, I'm ready for another decade and then 2 more years after that as well. When we're 24 years old, that'll also be a crazy video. But otherwise, I guess we could talk about how we got here. Covered in cake. I got a piñata head taped to my foot. And I feel really fulfilled, actually. I feel pretty happy and content with what we've done, but also the people we have around us. I feel very thankful for that, you know? Can destroy our meeting room and make it all sticky and feel like it was the right thing to do.
Champagne on the ceiling.
Champagne dripping from the ceiling right now, but we actually hadn't graduated high school yet when we came up with this whole idea. How would you describe us at that age? We were both 17,
We were both fucking idiots.
18. We were both stupid,
Yeah.
definitely. We've known each other for 16 to 15 years.
Fuck.
It's okay.
Does that mean that I've known you
Shut up.
the majority of my life?
Yes.
Wow.
I've known you more than half the time I've spent alive on this earth.
Fuck. 12 more years.
You always tell your significant other that she's the most special person on this earth, but there's something she'll never replace about your business partner. I need you to export that clip for me so I can. He was going to be a computer science forensic, and I just knew that I liked building PCs so I could play PC games. Yeah. It's 2013.
So it's actually not an obsolete job.
It's not an obsolete job. You don't have AI, you know, mimicking Asuka from Evangelion, tucking you into bed at night. And instead they're just like, wow, I want to be a software engineer and build the future.
And then we didn't.
Well, we kind of tried to, but then the surplus took over.
Yep.
It's your fault.
Yeah, it is my fault.
You know, we were on 4chan on the K-board. We like the outdoors. We found where the U.S. military auctioned off most of their surplus. And I remember being at his house and taking a look at, what was it called now? Was it Gov Planet?
Gov Liquidation?
Gov Liquidation. It's govliquidation.org? Net? Com?
I think it was com.
Govliquidation.com, 2013. And we had a couple silly ideas at first. One of our ideas was we were going to get a bunch of 30 cal or 50 cal ammo cans. We'd put like a survival kit in it.
Yep.
A whole spreadsheet going, all like.
We had the 9/11 edition, which had like rope in it, so you could like tie it off to like your office desk or something, and then like rappel out the window. That was like one of the ideas of like your office building is under terrorist
That's
attack.
right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of really stupid ideas because the surplus made our head spin. It was really strange to see all of the stuff within our interest and our nerdy purview just up for auction. So we came up with this elaborate idea that never worked out, which is like a survival kit you put in your car. We had a whole spreadsheet for it and it didn't work out. And eventually we gave up. We're like, okay, let's just try selling one thing. So we kind of goofed around for a little bit and we caught one bid for a bunch of the Marine Corps backpacks that they would rock with like 100 pounds and destroy their knees and whatnot and destroy their bodies for the rest of the time. So we won a lot of that for a couple hundred. And the original intent was, let's just start flipping these on eBay. So I remember I was at his house making the eBay account, and that's actually where we came up with the original idea for the company name, which was Nugget Enterprises, which was decided within like 60 seconds because we needed a company name. I was like, what should we call this?
Can we get the Nugget?
Yeah, can you give me the Nugget right now?
And
So back in the day, a lot of the Moe's Nagants in the market, and people would refer to them as a slang term, which was nugget, which my interpretation of that was you could get crates of like 10 of them. Was it 10?
It was something like that.
20?
10 or 12.
10 or 12, right? And it would be in a big wooden box. And so when people called them nuggets, because it's the Moe's Nagant, I always thought of McDonald's because I'm an American. I was like getting a big box of chicken McNuggets, and you get a bunch of nuggets for fairly cheap considering what it was. In that 60 seconds when we were making the eBay page, I was like, what should we call ourselves? The slang at the time was the Nugget. I was like, all right, Nugget Enterprises, right? Really like stereotypical business name plus current topical meme at the time. Boom. Sandwich, delicious. We never ended up even using that eBay account. We started posting that we had won this bid for all these backpacks, and we posted on 4chan, posted other places, and we got so much feedback, we didn't need to like put shit on eBay because we had more people interested than we had backpacks. So we had the blog spot with the PayPal. It was like, all right, cool, we'll just, sign up, commit, and we'll hit you up soon. So that was the early summer of 2013. And after
I think we ended up losing money on that too, didn't we? Because we like did the costs all wrong and like didn't factor in shipping correctly. Or
we
something.
definitely script the freight shipping.
Yeah.
I had no idea how freight shipping worked.
It went back and
Yeah.
forth like 5 times.
So
didn't it?
all I know is that I set up shipping. It shipped to Minnesota. So it shipped from Ohio, where we won the bid, went to Minnesota. I had no idea it was sitting in some random freight depot. The 2 weeks elapsed, and then it went back to Ohio. And I had to call the company and be like, what did you do? Where's my stuff? Send it back. And they sent it back, and I almost missed the period where they were going to send it back a second time. So I caught it. I saw it was like a day or two before it was going to be sent back to Ohio again. I drove there just to get our goods. And I walk in, and they're like, what's the pro number? No idea what that was. And I was like, I don't know. Let me go check my email. So I'm like standing there on my iPhone 4, like looking this up. I literally opened this pallet in this Brandon parking lot, and I start just shoving stuff into my car. And the small yellow Jeep Wrangler. And there's so many backpacks that I can't actually fit everything in my car. And there's still backpacks, so I'm like, hey, can you watch this while I'm gone? I'll be right back. So I drive to my house, dump everything inside, and drive back for the other half of the pallet.
Then things started getting a little wild.
Yeah,
man.
so we did the first lot, and we were both like, cool. Let's do it again, I guess.
And we got the fleeces, right?
Yeah, that was the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was when it really started stepping up because we pretty much doubled it, right?
Yep.
So I remember going through the fleeces, and that was when some core tenets of the way we handled surplus really started. Because I went through every single fleece, it was like 300-ish fleeces, by hand, and I inspected each one for like the quality, because some fleeces had been through the washer and dryer like 5 billion times because Joe Schmo had like really used it and jaked off on it enough times that it had to go through the wash, so that like wasn't as soft anymore. There was also like a lot of
It did actually. There were some crusty ones.
There were some
There
crusty.
were some legitimately
Yeah, you had crusty ones. The
like suspiciously crusty.
The crusty ones also got put in the like oof ow my balls pile. There was also like holes, but singed holes. So you have like a hole like the size of like
It's like cigarette holes, right?
a cigarette hole,
Yeah.
but there's like a black singe mark around it.
Yep.
So it wasn't like a bullet hole maybe.
Yeah.
But
We had a bloody one once, didn't we?
But we were so autistic that really set kind of like a lot of the basis for how we would sort surplus for the years onward. And him doing all the orders and the web dev and everything else. So this was around the end of 2014. I just had my first experience with horrific vitamin D deprivation.
He's in the basement,
Yeah.
like fucking dying, like doesn't see the sun, like 18-hour
Yeah.
shifts for like 3 cents an hour
Yeah.
for like a year. We did get kicked out of the basement though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The surplus expanded.
Yeah. It's waist high in sleeping bags and backpacks. And so you're like kind of like wading through it.
You could literally swim.
Yeah, to get orders,
Yeah.
and it's kind of comfy, which is dangerous because you can swan dive into just something you kind of like lay in for a little bit,
Yeah. Maybe fall asleep.
maybe fall asleep in.
Well,
I didn't fall asleep in there, but I did make a big crate once out of PVC pipe and chicken wire that was full of fleeces that I did sleep in once.
yeah, that was comfy.
Yeah, it was good. But after we had surplus literally going to the ceiling, my dad was like, yeah, you gotta get the fuck out. You gotta move, dude. At this point, it had been 2 years. We've been doing this. We had really ramped up things. And that's when we first started looking at actual warehouse space and our first employees. It was weird having employees after 2 years of just being us. As a 19 to 20-year-old, I was in charge of
Like 30-year-olds.
two
with
other,
kids.
yes. I took it very seriously, but still, sometimes I wonder, like how I came across to them, and I still felt it was a really intimidating sense of responsibility to these people, where I was like their full-time employer. I remember one day, one of them came up to me, he was like, hey, the company makes money, right? Like we're profitable.
Yeah.
And I remember like not really understanding like the actual question he's asking and just being like, yeah, it is. Because it was to a degree.
Numbers are hard, okay?
But numbers were hard, We saw a lot of growth in how do we handle the sourcing, the research, a lot of the ways we started doing the media we would do.
Our marketing.
Right? But at this time, it was still very small fry because it had been like 3 to 4 years running this, but we were still just a mailing list that had grown out of the small internet communities where we had started.
I do think it's worth saying, like, genuinely, in 2013, 2014, and 2015, there were maybe a few hundred people that made all of this possible. And without the support of a really small group of people, specifically on 4chan's K-board, we would have never been able to grow into a successful business. And the weird, funny part about it is a lot of those people were our age at the time. A lot of those people have gone on to make their own successful businesses. Really, we owe so much to
Decently small group of individuals
Yeah.
who were not only our customers, but kind of like our compatriots,
Yep.
online at the time.
It was a definite feeling of like there was very little separation between us and the people who were buying stuff from
Yeah.
us. It was almost like a community with a store at that point because it was so tight. Mm-hmm. This was a little bit later on. I think this was like 2017 or 2018. We once had a sale where it was like, oh shit, we had a surprise Amex bill due, and we wrote an email to the customer saying like, hey, we're gonna like go broke if we don't raise like X amount of money. I think it was like 10 grand or something. And we had this sale that we put up, and we said like we're gonna run this like 45% off sale until we pay off our Amex bill. Like, thanks guys.
I remember, so I'd help pack even after we got some employees. sometimes on some of the bigger sales. I remember recognizing a lot of our regulars, just knowing most of them by name. There was like a list of like 50-ish people where I just would see their name. I knew exactly who they were.
The label would print out. We'd be like,
I'd be like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very close community. There was also, I do want to say, there was a point in time in 2013 to 14 where for your Kommandstore, when we were Nugget Enterprises, we did take donations, and people actually just donated to us because they believed in what we were doing.
There was one guy who he was gonna get engaged, and he got rejected, and he sold his engagement ring, and he sent us, I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000 or something.
Yes.
It was incredibly
The
good.
most amount of money we'd received in a single transaction from one guy who donated to us just because he believed in what we were doing. And as an 18 to 19-year-old, I was like, we're like, like I have to uphold this. Like, oh my God, I'm not worth this. Why did you send me this much money, dude? Like, I better really follow up to this, like, because
we donked that guy out.
Yeah,
for like years.
we did take care of him.
Yeah, every time we had like a new product come out or whatever, it would throw a bunch.
Yeah.
He really did make a difference.
The responsibility I felt for a lot of that support, both whether it's just positive support online or it was donations, it was always so much more than I ever expected to understand what to do with. There was always this like looming sense of responsibility for all of our regulars and all the people that believed in us. That was a really big driving force early on. Just the fact that we started just flipping surplus and people had so much fun with us and believed in us enough to just donate out of goodwill. It really made leaving all of my college pursuits behind feel so much more worth it. Like I was doing the right thing for that. Around 2018 is when we are 5 years in.
Yeah.
And that was the sort of make or break for when I'd say Kommandstore changed from kind of like a fun small business passion project to something more serious.
Yep.
And that's when a lot of the ways we treated it, kind of the business tactic, the strategy, when we really started to actually have to start to really seriously hire people changed.
Yeah.
Along with the market at the time.
First we had to realize that hiring people is a good thing. We had reached a point where we were personally doing almost everything in the business, and then we thought for quite some time, the problem is we're not working hard enough, and we need to work longer hours, and we need to do more. Eventually we kind of reached a point where like, oh hey, actually you can hire people to help you. You can pay them money to make your problems go away.
Crazy concept.
It was a great...
Well, why was it hard to overcome that? I think a part of it was it had been something so personal for so long. It was kind of scary to almost feel like you're giving that away or handing it over to someone else.
Yeah.
So that was a big hurdle to overcome, to kind of move from more of a really tiny small business into more of like a slightly medium-sized kind of small business, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
So 2018 was when we first started experimenting with making our own stuff.
Yeah.
So, being in the surplus business, it was always about selling what you found, right?
Yep.
You were a fisherman, and it's like whatever you reeled in for the day, but none of it was truly yours. You were always selling someone else's stuff, which was always very fun and very crucial to a lot of our inspiration, what we learned over the years.
So basically, if I were to categorize the eras of Kommandstore, there'd be the 2013 to late 2017, 2018, which was like the passion project, us kind of doing it just with this little community. And then from 2018 to 21 or 22, it was us growing the company rapidly, but also making like a series of pretty significant mistakes and like learning from them. And then more recently, I would say 2023, 2024, 2025, the company has matured, much bigger headcount, all the rest of that, but we've also had better connections within the industry. We've reached out to a lot more people, and on a lot of things, we actually understand what we're doing, which is kind of a goofy thing to say. 10 out of 12 years were us kind of figuring it out.
We kind of found our spot, our talent for taking what we wanted to actualize, whether it's, a Gorka and the colorway we wanted to see, or just some movie repro, like the Heat Rig or Sasha. Yeah. Like, we know how to do that. We know why we want to see it. We know exactly who wants to see it.
And we have the team
with us.
The team to do it, to do the follow through, to do the media, and do the marketing to a pretty high standard. And a lot of that has only really feels like it's come together in like the last 3.5 years.
It took a lot of snowballing to learn all that, you know, just getting into the industry, into the business, learning about a lot of the kit, a lot of just the whole sphere of surplus and the whole military firearms industry. In the beginning, selling other people's stuff, getting inspired from that to do kind of a lot of the in-between stuff, whether it was merchandise or some of the modifying surplus, just getting to...
And going down rabbit holes and getting scammed, working with really bad manufacturers because we didn't know better. Not knowing how shipping worked was like a big thing that we finally figured out. There are lots of things like that where you just don't know until you kind of stumble your way through it.
And just ending up with the team and the MO of we take things that we think are cool in this space, that we want to see, that people think are fun from all of experience, and we can just make it real, make a lot of things real. We haven't made anime real, but everything else.
It's still a passion project, but now we have people to help us like actually make that stuff happen. And certainly our capability on the product side is hugely different than what it was when we started, and our capability on the media side is incredible.
Yeah.
So, same thing with the marketing and some of the other things that we're able to do now. And frankly, just getting ourselves out there, meeting more people, collaborations in the industry, that sort of thing has been really a lot of fun over the last couple of years.
So in a way, the last 2 years, it took a decade of experience and just falling into things to make the company and make the team, make the community that we've had kind of happen to us. We had to spend a lot of hard lessons figuring out, just so I can sit here covered in cake with an AK and a fantastic team around me.
If I imagined it, like we could fill a football stadium, pretty decently sized stadium
with all of you.
Yeah, that's a really great feeling.
I can't mentally imagine that in my head.
Thousands and thousands of people either touching us, and, like looking at
feeling
your
us.
feet. Like, we're really, really happy to have come this far and to have grown the community that we have, and to be able to have done so many wonderful and completely off the wall things with you guys.
They always said, don't let your memes become dreams. Some of those memes were able to become real because of you guys. Whether it was some strange fishing joke or a rig from a bank robbing movie, just knowing that we weren't alone and thinking was cool, and that people might want to see that and share that together, and you guys making it possible, truly just like a privilege to share that with you guys. You guys have taken so many different fantasies we had a billion years ago in Mom's basement and turned into something that happens every month, and that is so unreal to me.
Yeah.
I still don't quite know how to thank you for allowing it to come to this state, allowing it to come to this point where it's just so fun and unreasonable at the same time. It's just truly a privilege.
It was a lot of work to get here, but definitely these last 4 years have been really huge and important for us. It's been amazing how fast, even though it has been 12 years, how fast it's felt like that time has gone past for us. And going from that basement to that first warehouse, and then starting to do social media content, starting to do our own projects in the second warehouse at 2018. And then I would say the last 3-4 years, really getting to meet a lot more of you and take on some much bigger things. That's been really, really rewarding.
I have no idea how we ended up together.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you in like 2014 because the company was actually real, and being like, wow, this is crazy. How did it end up this way? Like, I wasn't expecting this, but it just worked out.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm serious.
Yeah.
That conversation happened.
It's really weird because like we've been, I guess, fairly successful in our own way with doing Kommandstore and doing the business, and obviously 12 years. Most companies go under after just a couple. But it's definitely like if you were to line up the entire graduating class and be like, yeah, those guys, they're going to start a business and it's going to go for 12 years. Like
you wouldn't have chosen that.
You wouldn't
that
have
would
chosen
have made no
that.
sense
You wouldn't
at
have- you
all.
wouldn't
It
have,
made zero sense. No, nada. Yeah.
But I think probably the common denominator is we were naive enough to not
do them.
realize how difficult it might be.
Yeah.
Just two guys with a crazy idea.
Two guys and we were crazy. actually. So basically, in summary, this has gone 12 years longer than it ever should have. But we're ready for another 12 years or until either one of us dies. Thanks, everyone.
Could be both of us in like a really tragic, like,
Plane crash or like a drone strike or like both in like 2 towers and like when something like unreasonable happens.
You could visit the IRS.
You could visit the IRS?
Yep.
All right, well, until then, buddy.
12. 12 or we die.
There we go.
You want cake now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want cake.
Hop in.
Nibble.
Here we go.
I
Hey.
really would have liked to have eaten this
Bye.
normally. Oh, God. Put it through my little hole.
What? Okay, ready when you are. Well, I think that was quite a bit of I feel like I just, hit the jackpot at the arcade. So instead of a crappy rubber ball or some plastic toy, I'm getting paid. This is how we clean up at Nugget Enterprises. Here, we address quality.
It's an Archer theater.
No.
Oh, we have that old video of the warehouse.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that was actually pretty close. Still, just.
Once you put on the cloth, like you just like you know.
Get some more like this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Keep going. All right. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Oh, you saw this light.
You need help?
Hey, it's my baby.
I'm gonna go down.